I think we are live. Still I rise, no matter what may come my way. Not built to break, I stand strong each and every day.
You're listening to Still I Rise Tea Party with Tarsha T. Rogers, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hello, 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 hello. Good evening. Welcome to the Tea Party. I am your host, Miss Tarsha T. Rogers. And is that you, Kenji, joining us? We've started. And I got Miss Kenji on. And I'm not going to introduce my panel again because they seem to be a fixture. So if you've been watching, then you'll know who they are, but they are all ladies close to me. I had mentioned, Kenji, I guess I'll be saying this online. I had mentioned to offline that I had already asked Tracy to be a part of the Still I Rise board. So I am also asking you to be a part of the Still I Rise board. So with that, this radio show is... I didn't say no, but this radio show is a part of Still I Rise from Cancer. So, because a lot of the things we talk about are medical related, and
right.
So, you guys being on here every week won't be out of the ordinary because as board members, then that kind of makes you definitely qualified to be on here from week to week. So Fiji again has to work. She's just sent me a text, busy nurse, and that's a good thing because Fiji does a lot. And it's some really good stuff because she wanted to talk about mental health and COVID. But I'm going to switch gears tonight because my heart is heavy. And I think all three of us are African-American women. All three of us are daughters of African-American men. At least all four of us, I'm sorry, all three of us on here at least are mothers of young men. And it's what's going on right now with the George Floyd is disturbing, to say the least. And as mothers, as daughters, as wives of Black men, when does it stop? So I'm going to kind of get off we can talk about the mask and some of the other things with COVID next week. Hopefully Fiji will be able to join us, but I want to switch gears tonight and just talk about racism and talk about how that affects us as a mother, as a wife, as a sister of someone of a Black man, as a daughter of a Black man. I'll share with you guys, Tesha, you're probably too little. You were too little to remember this. And you might not have even been born, but I think I was about maybe 8 or 9 years old when the police came to our door and basically pulled daddy outside and were like, yeah, you fit the description of somebody that robbed a liquor store or whatever. We were like, what? And of course, it didn't escalate into nothing really bad. But still, he's in his house minding his own business, and you come to our door and yank my dad outside for what? Some bullshit. So I understand police brutality well. I've been pulled over driving a nice car while Black. It goes all the way back to a teenager driving either driving my mother's Cadillac or my grandmother's Cadillac or whatever, and then suddenly I'm being pulled over like, well, where are you going? I'm minding my business. I'm going to a friend's. I'm going to school. I'm going wherever. And so I'm not naive to what goes on. Even though I live out here in Mayberry, I'm not naive to what goes on. Not in the least. I will knock on wood. We've been fortunate that we haven't had any instances here in quote unquote Mayberry. Even with Braxton. Braxton's been pulled over a couple of times and they ended well, but I had to school him. And I had to, when he got the car and got his license, I had to say, look, if you're ever pulled over, what I need you to do is, yes, sir. be polite, which he is anyway. And I need you to put your hands where they can see them, put them on the steering wheel, let them know I'm reaching for my wallet. I'm reaching for my insurance. I'm reaching for my license, but I need you to be as cooperative as possible. And, I think he's been stopped maybe 2 times. One time he didn't know that you're not supposed to try to make a U-turn before you get to a, like one of the checkpoints. And so, of course, when you do that, you draw suspicion. Right. So they pulled him over, and he was like, "Oh, officer, I was just trying to avoid the checkpoint." They let him go. It was another instance where, because he had on St. Bonaventure and the officer knew somebody had a kid or somebody from St. Bonaventure, they let him go. So we've been blessed in that. But who's to say
out here had you still had him attend schools out here, and he did that, did a U-turn at that checkpoint, that would not have gone well.
It wouldn't.
And it's unfortunate because not all cops are like that.
Yes.
It wouldn't even been that. It wouldn't even been
who are not like that.
It wouldn't have even been so much as the U-turn. It could have been the car he was driving.
Right.
It could have been just the fact that he was a young man, a Black African-American man driving a nice car.
Yes.
For some reason they feel that you should not have that. Why do you have that? How did you get it?
Yes.
Who gave it to you?
Right.
My son had the same thing. My son was pulled over. My son was pulled over and sat down on the curb.
Wow.
And it just so happens to be a lady who, the only way I can put it, she and I didn't see eye to eye.
Okay.
And this person, she and Kenji didn't see eye to eye.
Okay.
And I think Kenji and her son goes to school with my son. They went to school. Makai's at a different school now. But that particular lady, even though she didn't like me and we're not sweet on each other.
Okay.
Right.
She pulled her car over and sat and watched the police in her car. And she walked over and she said, "That's a good young man right there." And she policed the situation. But they had my son pulled over out of the car. They asked him where was the gun. Of course, he doesn't have a gun.
Mm-hmm.
And they asked him if him and the other young man was giving each other head.
Mm-hmm.
Just stupid stuff to try to elevate
Yes.
the situation.
Wow.
And of course, my son is he's young. He's a senior in high school right now. So they were like clueless and just floored by just the simple fact that here's this officer trying to pick with them. Here's this officer trying to antagonize them, trying to come with something. And because she sat there and she watched them, he let them go because there was no reason.
Right.
Why? You pulled him over because my son drives a Lexus.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because he was a good student and he had went far in track and became first in the fifth in the state of California in his race. His aunt treated him and bought him something beautiful, which was the car. You know, that was her surprise for her nephew, and it was a nice car. So when you see him driving, they don't think that these young men should have these things, and that's sad. And your lucky stars is that Braxton is where you are and where you guys live, because these streets of LA ain't no joke.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in LA, so I never want anybody to think, we've always been out here, because we haven't. He's been out here since he was 7, so he's really acclimated to out here.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell Keith all the time, I think if we lived in LA, I don't know how comfortable I would feel with him driving the car that he has. I just wouldn't, because not only would I be afraid of the police profiling, but then I would be afraid he's going to get carjacked.
Right.
That too.
It's so much that you got to worry about with these young men. And, you would think that you could at least feel safe that the police are not going to bother them, that maybe there'll be a protection for them, but unfortunately they're not. I've gotten into it with some people that live out here because of posts that I've made and different things that I've said, and they've unfriended me. They've unfriended Keith because, we're very candid with how we feel. And I had to let a couple of them know, you don't know what goes on over that hill. When you get over the hill, it's a whole nother world. And that's where I'm from. I was born there. So don't come at me with, oh, the police is your friend. The police might be our friend here, But it's a whole different story when we go over that grade. So don't come at me like that because you don't know what I've experienced or what I've been through. And it hasn't all been pretty.
And I can add that my situation was just the opposite. I grew up in West Covina, where we were like the only Black family on our street. And I didn't move to LA till I was in the 10th grade.
Okay.
But so I really didn't know racism or understand it because, you know, the kids, we played with each other. We didn't have to deal with it. But my first bout of seeing racism active was when I was married. And if you guys know, my ex-husband is huge. He's dark, like 6'4", 380 pounds. And I had got my new Mercedes. It was a sedan and it had paper plates. And I was dropping him off at work, but he was driving since he knew how to get there. And we had to go through Beverly Hills. And we were driving with the flow of traffic and we got stopped by a motorcycle cop. And when he pulled us over, Bert asked him, like, you know, officer, what can I ask you, you know, why you pulled me over? And he said, well, because you have paper plates. And I was like, you pulled us over because we have paper plates. That's because it's a new car. And he said, and I said, we were going with the flow of traffic. So I'm interjecting and Bert keeps looking at me like I took over because I'm mad because I don't understand why you would pull us over.
Yeah.
First day, he stayed calm the whole time, but I asked, okay, and I said, well, this is my car and I just got it. And so I haven't gotten the license plate yet. He was like, okay, well, sir, can I see your license and registration? I said, oh, you're going to keep going? So at that point, I forgot that I was a Christian. I'm going to say that.
Okay.
And I used some very choice words. And I told him, I said, you're a liar. You pulled us over because you saw a Black man driving a Mercedes through Beverly Hills. And he said, ma'am, I didn't know he was Black. I said, there's no way you can miss that big old black head through that mirror, through that window, that rear view mirror window. And he proceeded to say, no, I pulled you over because of the plates. And I said, no, you didn't. I said, you're a racist pig. And he proceeds to tell my ex-husband, sir, I need you to calm your company down. I said, company? Who the do you think I am? I said, I'm his wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
A wife, like a Black couple, we are married. Right. So I ended up cursing that man out so bad. And Bert was shocked that nothing happened because, you know, he kept telling me to calm down. He was trying to tell the officer that he just did security for the policeman's golf tournament. But the man kept going and he was going to give him a ticket. And after it was over, I had to apologize to Bert for cussing the man out in court. But I told him I had never seen racism like that. And he said he was used to it.
Wow.
I said, well, I'm not, and I don't want to get used to it. I didn't understand that. And I said, I don't apologize for what I called that man and what I said to him, all them choice words. I just apologize for getting so upset. And he thought he could talk his way. He was like, he was going to let me go. I said, that man was not going to let you go. His heart would have been different. Yeah.
It would have been different for him.
Well, I would say this. The good thing was he was calm. So he might have got a ticket and just, you know, walked away. Or we don't know. He might have tried to act like the car was stolen. Or who knows what might have happened. You're right, Tracy. It could have went different. But it was just very upsetting. And I'm glad, you know, nothing came out of it. But that was like blatant racism to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
What do they call it? Driving while Black? Oh, sorry, guys.
I have this thing that I say, I guess my skin is my sin.
Wow, that's good.
My skin, because of the color that I am, will cause me trouble when I'm with other races. And sometimes it'll cause me trouble depending on the wrong person within my own race.
Yeah.
And because we are prejudiced, believe it or not, against each other.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
So once we learn how to embrace and love one another just based on who we are, just because your skin may be lighter or mine may be darker, does not mean that I'm any different.
That's
Mhm.
right.
And that's what we find that we will have that type of racism, and then you'll go and you'll have the other type of racism where it's in the street. It's sad.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sad when I look at. I got some friends. I have white friends who I've had for many, many years. I love them to death. Wouldn't change them because I know when they look at me, what they see.
Right.
They see Tracy. They're not seeing anybody else but Tracy, and I don't see
Right.
anything but anybody else but them. But you got some other people who look at you and smile in your face.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll look at you right in your eyes, and you can imagine what they're thinking. Sometimes you can look at them and tell what they're thinking.
Mhm.
I'm going to share something with you guys. When I married Keith, I was working for somebody that I thought, oh, she was just so sweet. And I think I was an HR assistant. So she was like the director and I was an HR assistant. And so I invited her to my wedding and everything. She sent a gift to the house, and she used to make little snide remarks because back then Keith drove a Jaguar and I think I had a BMW. And she would make little remarks about, because sometimes I drive Keith's car, sometimes I drive my car, and she'd say little catty things, and I kind of would dismiss it. But baby, she came to my wedding, and I guess she looked around and saw, oh, look at this, and well, how they went all out and blah 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 blah. I swear to you, from that point on, she treated me different, and no sooner after that, she terminated me. And I can't equate it to anything but just plain out. It's like, I guess as long as I'm her assistant and under her and I guess she thinks I don't have anything, I don't come from nothing, it was okay. But then when she, saw my parents and saw the people around me in the church and how it was decorated and maybe the dress I had on or whatever, and just saw a different side of Black people, I don't think she was able to handle it, and she was no longer able to handle me. And I was like, and my mom said, you know what? No, you shouldn't have invited her because she had issues with you all along.
Mm-hmm.
And to see that you were not whatever her expectations of Black people were, or whatever her prejudices were, and that you didn't fit that, then you became a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I will never forget that. We've been married going on 23 years, and I will never forget that.
Not to mention, didn't your realtor announce at the reception that you received your keys to your first home?
Yeah.
That's probably
that was icing on the cake.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not supposed to have nothing. Don't you understand?
No, we're not.
Don't you get it?
Exactly. We're not supposed to have nothing.
Right.
As
So
long
wait,
as you
Tarsha,
walk
was she
around,
single?
take a step and fetch it. You
She
good.
was single, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you were her assistant, yet you were the one married and you were the one getting a house. That's not how it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
Mm.
See, when you start getting ahead of the cart,
Mhm.
Right.
she was a cart and you were supposed to be behind her,
Right.
in front of her.
Yeah. It's funny because sometimes the racism, what we saw the other day on TV with Mr. Floyd was blatant. A lot of times it's not blatant, and you just
No.
kind of read between the lines and to understand what's really going on.
It's indirect too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
experience was at my old job.
That is one of the sickest things that
Yes.
I have seen lately. I mean, we've seen some things. I'm sure we've seen what Till. We've seen those pictures. We've seen all of that to where the racism was so blatant back then. We knew what it was.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is a whole totally different type of uncharted territory. This is why I said some of these people you don't understand. They're looking at you, but they hate your guts.
Yes.
Yeah.
They hate the mere side of you.
Yes.
The mere side of you. The fact that you get in your car and drive away, who gives them the right to have such a car?
Mm-hmm.
My job. When I was married, I had my husband had everybody my husband had done some time.
Mm-hmm.
So he would have to have a parole officer that would come by and look at what we had. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the lady came by and she was like, well, how are you able to live here? I lived off of like La Cienega near Pico. I said, through my job. He said, well, who pay? I pay my rent.
Mm.
I pay the bills because this was my apartment before I met him, and it's my apartment now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I guess you're not supposed to have anything. If you let
Right.
them tell you, she looked around, and I guess I wasn't supposed to live on the west side, and I wasn't supposed to have an apartment on the west side that I'm paying rent in. I had a job. I worked at an advertising agency, and I got paid well enough to pay for my own bills and my car payment
Mm-hmm.
by myself with no children. But with her looking around at what I had, I wasn't supposed to have it.
Mhm.
And that's the saddest thing. It's like, what gives you the right? It makes you think. If you think about the 70s, back in the 70s, and if your parent was on welfare,
Mm-hmm.
you weren't supposed to have an iron.
Right. Like the movie Claudia.
That is
Claudia, yep.
Did you report the fact that you have an iron?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I see a toaster. Do you have a toaster? Oh no, you didn't
Wow.
report that in your income that you got a toaster. A toaster costs $14.99. Now, how did you get the toaster?
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, let's think about it. It's kind of sad. It's like you in this day and time, we're not supposed to be able to prosper.
Right.
No.
That's
no.
what God's plan is for me.
Right. Right.
You know what, Tracy, what you talking about that made me think about my son. I think I told you guys before, my son went to Jackson State on a full academic scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
And when I would tell people, like, I was so proud of my son, he got a full scholarship, and they say, oh, the first thing they would say was, oh, he plays ball.
Mm. Like he can't have an academic scholarship.
Right. And I was so proud to say, no, actually, my son is not an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
He's never played really any sports.
Mm-hmm.
He got into rugby in his senior year, so it would look good on his application. But he's always been into academics. And that bothers me too, that they think that our young Black men are just like dumb, that the only way that they can be successful and achieve anything is by playing sports.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know if you guys caught the press conference today about George Floyd. It was very disturbing because I think he's the prosecutor for the county. And he said, we have to look at this closely because right now we're not seeing any criminal intent. And I'm like, this is not going to go well. And, you know, they came to this press conference mainly, I think, because they're trying to get people to tell everybody to keep the peace, don't burn stuff down. Well, no one's going to say that until you can let us know that you are going to give this case some serious, you're going to really look into it, and you're going to actually know that this is criminal. He killed that man. He killed him. He had his knee on his throat and he killed him.
Didn't he have his hands in his pocket?
Yeah, he did.
He's like, yeah, I got my knee on this Negro's neck.
Yeah.
He was the sickest thing. I think that I wish they would just take and drop him off in South Central.
Yeah.
Drop him off over by the Nicholson Gardens.
Tracy, this officer has been reprimanded or has had 18 complaints. 18.
Oh my God.
He murdered somebody back in 2008.
Did you see the hat? Somebody caught a picture of him.
Yeah.
On Twitter.
With the hat that said
MAGA
"White
hat.
Power" or whatever.
They said, "Make America white again."
Yeah.
Yes.
And he also he wore that with when he took a picture with 45.
Of
So,
course.
yeah.
Well, he said that picture. Now, I don't know about the Make America White Again, if that's him, but they're saying that what is some picture that one of those pictures, either the one with Trump or the Make America White Again, is not him.
Oh.
It
don't matter.
okay.
It really don't matter.
I won't even say his name or the number, but the thing, I call him the thing, the lobster. The lobster.
Yeah, he's the cause of all of this. Yeah, all of it.
Good show.
all of it. And the wine is kicking in, so there's no telling what I may say. But yeah, cause of all of this is going on, from the virus, the racial virus, the COVID virus. He's the cause of all of it.
Yeah, he is.
Narcissism and that it's. I tell my son is like, Mom, you just, I've never seen you just get so riled up. That's what he does, because I see through all of the facade. You know, he waited 12 hours before he even acknowledged that we're already over 100,000 people that have died in this country because of that virus. I've watched documentary after documentary on I love CNN, and I'm constantly watching the stuff that they put out because they back it up with facts. And they showed one where they showed what his response was in January, what his response was in February. Right. And he's just constantly dismissing. And then the one I watched just a few days ago, it was really about China, but of course they had to throw him in there too. Had he just done something 1 week prior, just one fucking week, the numbers wouldn't have been as high as they are right now.
Right.
This was a man that kept dismissing it. And it's the same thing with the racism. The racism, you know, people think Obama made racism worse. No, it's really gotten worse. I think race relations got bad because you had all these races that couldn't take that this powerful, but this black man had all this power and was actually good at it. And so they had a problem with that. And then you get this fool in the office, and he won't speak against anything because he knows that's his base. And so he allows all these things to go on, and he tries to give little fake statements here and there, but he's sickening. And he is the cause of all of these people, racist people, rising up thinking they suddenly have power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when you start calling the police on people just by sitting in your car, walking your dog, or you have playing, for example, the guy there was a bird watcher in New York in Central Park. He just simply asked that lady who was walking her dog to put a leash on the dog, because it's a rule in the park to always have a leash on your dog. Unfortunately, she didn't like what he said and threatened to call the police and threatened, and she said, I can easily tell them that is an African American man threatening me, and the police will come down and get you. In so many words. And then when she did speak to the police, her attitude just changed. Her voice changed. She all of a sudden, her voice went an octave higher, and she made it seem like, oh, she's scared, or she's frightened, or he's about to do something. He was like, just call the police. But thankfully, karma came back on her butt, and she no longer has a job and no longer has that dog. She was choking that dog.
She choked the mess out that dog.
She could have got that man killed.
Mm-hmm. And then she could have got that dog killed.
Yeah. Right. But you know what? And I'm gonna tell you something that's sad. And dogs, of course, you know, pets. Because I have pets too. They're like children. Yeah. But what's really sad is that there's more people outraged about how she was treating that dog.
And she treated the man.
Than how she treated that man. That's why she got fired. She got fired because what she did to that dog. At the water cooler, me like, it's a shame what she did.
Probably called.
Yeah. And the fact of the matter is that she knew what could have happened to him. Had the police come.
She did. And you were willing. She's part of Make America White Again. That's
but the fact that she was willing to allow that man to get beat up.
Yes.
Because he told her to follow the rules.
Let's just say, they were going to come with guns drawn.
Yeah.
And about 4 or 5 squad cars for one person.
Right.
As they normally do.
But all because he was asking you to follow the rules. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Right.
Black man shouldn't be talking to me this way. I should be telling him what to do. No, boo-boo. Yeah. This is 2020. This is a totally different.
Sin was his sin.
Yes. Thank you, Tracy.
Tracy. I hate the meaning, but I love it.
There's no other way to put it.
Yeah.
And the darker you are, the worse.
The worse.
Yeah, unfortunately.
The scariest thing, let me just say this, with me having a son that's graduating, getting ready to leave, trying to choose what college it is for him to go to.
Mhm.
Praise God, he has choices. But I really don't want my son to go to school down south, because down south, it's worse.
Yeah.
Worse. You have white people in Arizona, it's worse.
Yeah.
Those people still sport a Confederate flag. They're walking around, they are armed, they have guns on their hips in 7-Eleven. You go in there just to get a Slurpee, but this dude is got this, gun on his hip for what?
Right.
And then when you go in there, they're looking at your little black behind, like, okay, look at you. I want you to see this.
Yeah.
See it for what?
To intimidate you.
What makes you think that I should just be afraid? Just the fact that because I look like this? What did I do to you?
Right. Right.
When you look at me, what do you really see?
Right.
That's what my thing is. When you look at my dark chocolate black behind, what do you really see?
It's intimidation, Tracy. They're intimidated by us.
What he doesn't understand.
Black men. They're intimidated.
What he doesn't understand, my lips aren't full. My nose is not spread across my face. Just because, and my hair is fine. Massa was in my quarters, my family's quarters, just like they were in anybody else's.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
My look is more, just because you don't see me looking like my skin is not fair, that doesn't mean that I'm not mixed up too. We all are mixed up.
Yeah.
None of us are pure. None of us came from the shores in Africa. We came from right here.
Right.
We right here. So what makes me so bad? What makes me so bad? I could be the great granddaddy of granddaughter of one of their granddaddies. You know.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, my existence should not be penalized. It should not be a death sentence.
Exactly.
By
Yes.
me walking. I walk past, walking past. You can tell the tension in the air. You can tell because when you will go to like certain places, you walk around. I work at West Hollywood. You walk around and you can tell, some people that it could be as simple as I'm walking and there could be a group of people coming towards me. Somebody's gonna have to move. I'm not moving. So you're gonna have to move, as you should, because you're a group of people and it's just one me. You should be moving.
Right.
Just that existence, just that simplicity of that. You can tell that you need to step aside. No, that's not gonna happen. Not today.
So, ladies, what do you think is the answer to all of this? We've all experienced some kind of.
I can't hear you.
At the end of the day, again, we're daughters of black men, we're wives of black men, we're mothers of black men, we're sisters of black men, we're nieces of black men. What can we do? Because it's not getting any better.
I really don't know, but I think I was reading a friend's page and she said, are we getting close to an uprising?
It looks like it.
Yeah.
It really does. It looks like it. There, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some beautiful white
Yes.
beautiful spirits, beautiful hearts, just lovely people. And you don't want them to be penalized. They feel some kind of way when they see you.
Right.
I want to be felt sorry for just because of the color of my skin.
Right.
I don't want them to feel uncomfortable. If you're a person and you love the human race,
Yeah.
we all should just be people who love the human race.
I
don't want them, my friends, to be somewhere and it's an uprising.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm worried.
Well, I think it has to be a strategically planned uprising. The problem with our Black people is that we have, we have these gang members and we have people that are killing other Black people. And a lot of times, I didn't grow up in the streets of LA, so I wasn't forced to be in a gang, which I'm finding out that a lot of these gang members, they grew up in the area, and that's how they ended up becoming
Right.
in the gang. And the thing about it is that you're fighting for something that is not even really yours. You're fighting because you don't want somebody wears a different color in your neighborhood, or you're mad because somebody is in your hood. Do you or your mama or your grandmother own anything on that street? Probably not.
Yeah.
So the first thing I think has to happen is that on that street, these people need to be educated first.
Yeah.
They need to be educated about their history, like for real history. I mean, like, let them know that we are not the enemy to each other.
Right.
If you guys want to use that anger towards something positive, get a group of your gang members, since you guys are so hard and you guys are down to ride, and find out how to do it the right way. When I say legal, I mean, like, if you look at I don't want to offend anybody, but if you look at like white people, sometimes when they commit crime, they commit white collar crime. Their crime is, they like, if I'm gonna go away, I'm stealing $100,000. We go to jail for $100.
Right.
And we end up getting the same amount of time as these white collar crimes because of our color. And I feel like that if we sit down with educated Black people, Black leaders, Black attorneys, these educated Black people, and these people get educated on how we can actually fight for something that is ours, make it ours. If you want to claim a community, go buy something in that community. Why don't you got 10 of your little gangbanging friends, why don't y'all all get together and start buying up property? And you can actually call that your property. So now that you actually own something, now that you're being educated, so then now the next step is like, so now let's all get together and make sure that we're protected, not from each other, because we shouldn't have to protect ourselves from each other.
Absolutely.
We should be protecting ourselves from the police and the ones that are the racists that are trying to take us down. And
I think we have to join together. You have to be
and
unified.
that's the problem, is that they don't. And then when they do stuff, they make us look ignorant. Like,
I'm
when
gonna
the riots happen. Look at the riots happen. These people are looting. You're looting and you're stealing stuff, and you got people looking at us on TV like, see, look at them niggas. Look at this is how they act.
Take
And it's
some
like,
Minnesota right now.
It's pretty sad. We don't value each other.
no,
Value, and I can honestly say that. Let me say that. I can honestly say that. I was shot by some Bloods. Some Bloods were shooting at the Crips that was in front of the store that I was in.
Wow.
So, and I'm not gonna lie, the school bell had rang, and I was supposed to be at school, which was right across the street. And since the Bloods was passing by and they saw the little Crips that was in front of the store, they shot. I got shot. And I really wasn't supposed to be where I was supposed to be. So that was my lesson. That was God giving me my whooping. Okay, I'm gonna go to school. I'm not gonna do this no more. Okay, that was my whooping, So I get that. I'm grown now, so now I can say this. But back then, that was the scariest thing in my life. And I think if God hadn't have done what he done at that particular moment in my life, then my life would have been I would have gone a different way, because I wasn't listening. I wasn't listening, and that was his way of getting my attention and putting me back in line. And I think what would make him just pass by in the car and just shoot at a gang of kids that was just what would just make you do that? Why would you think in your mind, okay, if I'm a Black man and those are my Black sisters and brothers, what would make me not see the fact that those are sisters and brothers? What would make me just stay in the car and just shoot at you?
Yeah.
Well, society teaches us to hate each other.
Everything else that's going on in this world.
Yeah.
What would me as a Black woman, why would I want to do such a thing? Or why would they want to do such a thing? Why would you want to just drive by and just shoot at the people? For what?
Like I said, that's because society is teaching us to hate each other.
Yeah.
You can never look at, how many times have you seen people, just women, how many times have you seen another woman look at another Black woman and make a the most stupidest comment
Oh
I've
Lord.
heard is that she thinks she's cute. So what's wrong with her having self-confidence and feeling good about herself? If you don't feel good about yourself and you don't think you cute, maybe you should do something about it. Maybe you should go compliment that young lady and say, you are beautiful. I don't know what you're doing, but
Keep doing it.
what is your, your hair is beautiful. I don't want to offend you, but if it's not your hair, maybe you can hook me up with whoever does your hair or whatever. They don't know. We don't know how to compliment each other, or we don't know how to acknowledge each other and give compliments to each other without hating on each other, without being jealous.
Yeah.
And the problem is that because we're so used to not having anything, that we get jealous of other people. And so now, instead of working to get our own, we want to steal it from people.
Yeah.
And then
Definitely. I didn't mean to cut you off, Kenji, but I definitely think at some point we're going to have to come together. We're going to have to unify, because united we stand, divided we fall. We're going to have to come together and then fight the outside forces, not the forces within us. Well, we need to be a force and fight the outside forces so they can recognize that we are human and we are a part of this too. And you need to stop. Get away from the stereotypes and thinking that we're target practice, because we're not. We got to educate our young boys, educate our young girls. You are somebody, and walk tall, walk proud. And we're going to just have to start really unifying and coming together and not act like Kenji said. We can't continue to be at each other. And then when we come as this big mighty force, now we can say, to these outside people, hey, we're together. You're not going to continue to do this. But I think when it comes to us, we all have different ideas of how to solve things or how to do things or how it should be done. And until we're all on the same page, I think this is going to continue to happen. As for the police officers, my question is, because I'm in HR, so I'm thinking from an HR standpoint, are these officers taught diversity training? Are they taught the various situations? I can't handle certain things. I could get a degree or a certificate in HR all the time, but at any time. But until I'm faced with a certain scenario, I'm not going to know how to handle it. So, you learn from experience. Are these officers actually taught anything in terms of how to deal with situations, how to deal with different races, different nationalities? I think diversity training is very essential.
I think it is. I think when situations like this happen with Floyd, I get it. Everybody's all in an uproar. We're so angry. Everybody's angry, and we're running around here and we're mad. I think when we get in situations like this, we should be unified and together enough to where we don't run around acting willy-nilly.
Yeah.
And what I'm seeing right now on the television, trust me, I'm an advocate for my Black brothers and sisters all day long, every day. I love me a beautiful Black man. I love watching and seeing a beautiful Black sister. I love watching us on our grind. I love watching us be successful.
Yeah.
I love watching us do our thing. As we are the most entertaining people, period.
Yeah.
On the face of the earth. We're athletic. We're talented.
Yes.
Gifted. Look, what's the song? Young, gifted, and Black.
Yeah, that's why they copy us so much.
All day long. But my point is, when we get in situations when something happens bad, we shouldn't be in the forefront acting willy-nilly, walling out.
Yeah.
Violence begets violence.
Yeah.
You're going to get violent. If you're going to go out there and act wild, that's what you're going to get back.
Yeah.
And in order for us to come out there and make a stand, we need to stand unified. See, all of this extra is taken away from the point. That man killed this young man. Okay, with all this out here looting and acting and throwing bottles and acting crazy, that's gonna get you mad. I get it.
Yeah.
The only way that you're gonna get them is you got to get them, first of all, in their pockets.
Right.
Stop spending your money in their damn stores.
Yeah.
Ass out the damn mouth.
Yeah.
You want to go up in there, get the hell up out of Big Five, get up out of Target. You got to hit them in their pockets. Use your money in your own community. If you're trying to get someone's attention, you gotta take care of it differently. You
Yeah.
should do it in your own community. With your own people.
Vendors
And
anyway.
when it comes down to our own people, don't make your deal so damn high that can't nobody afford your stuff.
Yes, yes.
That's true.
Period. I would love to patronize a lot of Black women, a
Yeah.
lot of Black businesses. I'll go to some boutiques and I'll look, and it'll be the simple dress.
Mhm.
Be downtown, but you got it for $85, $90.
Right, right,
I know I can go right down to the alley and get that sucker for $14.
right. Exactly, exactly.
Why you price gouge me? Why you do me like this when I'm your sister and you want me to come back and buy from you again?
Right,
You overprice your stuff so that you price yourself out.
right. Absolutely.
But I'm a sister on a budget. I'm gonna go where my money takes me.
Yeah. We have to be professional and timely. I cannot tell you how many times I've said, you know what, I'm let me stop by this business over here and let them do such and such or whatever. And the signs say open door, we open at 10 and it's already 11 and they're not open yet. Okay, well, bye-bye. I'm done with you because that you can't do that. Not me. I'm gonna tell you, and I think some of you were with me. When we were trying to find boots. I was trying to find some turquoise boots for your engagement party, and you remember we went to the Baldwin Hills Mall,
Yeah,
which was ours.
yeah.
And one was owned by an African American lady, and I was trying to go to her store because she actually had the boots I wanted. So we get there early. No stores are open. We're sitting hanging out by the little kiosk. And so, the mall opens at 10 o'clock. All stores open at 10. 10 o'clock hits. She's nowhere to be found. Now, the Asian guy, he opened up his store at 9:45 because we went in there and was browsing, just looking, waiting for her to open. And I ended up going in there. The boots didn't, she didn't have my size or whatever. But my point is, the Asian store was open at 9:45 and she didn't open until 10:20. That's not how we do things. So I would love to patronize our if I can find what I need.
Yep.
Has to come with. I've had people buy things from my boutique, and if something goes wrong, I replace it. I will fund your money. I will fund your money, and then send you something else for free. I'm going to go over and above just to show you that I'm not trying to steal from you. I'm not trying to gouge you. I'm trying to be professional and have business here. And so we have to all have that mentality.
Mm-hmm. I have a young lady who I frequent her boutique all the time because first of all, I love her as a person. She always gives me the best deals. Every time I have a show, I go in there and I say, Charlie, I need something. I need you to bless me with something. Fix me, hook me up with something. And she go, where you going, girl? And I'll tell her where I'm going. And then she'll tell me what give me my price. And her price fits my budget. And then because she gave me her price, I went and bought something else. And then I get more so that I spend what I was going to spend in the other store all with her. I leave it there with her. And I appreciate her for that because, she's not trying to, you want me to come back.
Yeah.
You want me to come back? Now, if you're going to overcharge me, then I'm not coming to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're trying to pay your car note on my one outfit. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I don't know. We're going to get there. I don't know when we'll get there, but we have to get there. That's the only way we're going to fight the things that are going on. Because it's scary. It really is scary to watch. We all did. We watched that man die. We watched him take his last breath and beg, please, I can't breathe. And he died. And we all saw it. And I hope they do the right thing and charge these officers. And, I was, when I saw that press conference today, I was feeling like, okay, this doesn't sound too good, but I hope they do the right thing and they charge these officers because the unrest is going to get worse if they do not. And it's going to get worse because people are tired. They are tired. You shouldn't be able to walk down the street or jog through a neighborhood and not have people shoot at you. What we saw on the video, the guy was complying. There was no reason for you to have your knee on that man's neck. But then these same people want to complain because Colin Kaepernick took the knee. Get out of here with that. Miss me with that. We are tired of this.
Especially since the man's hands were he was handcuffed. He
Yes.
wasn't posing a threat. He didn't even resist arrest. From the time that, if you see any of the other videos, from the time that they took him he got out of the car to where he came over to them, he wasn't posing a threat to him.
At all. Not at all.
Any arrest, he was calm and he listened and he complied with what was asked for him to do.
Right.
But then they lied in the report. They lied and said a whole lot happened that did not happen. It was quite conflicting when the actual other video came out.
Right. Right.
That the police report stated never happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go back to the diversity training, because I really don't think some of these white officers know how to deal with African Americans and know how to deal with certain situations. And some of them are straight racist. There's no doubt about that. And some of them are panicking, or some of them are panicking and they're racist. But again, are you not trained on how to handle these situations? I don't understand. I need somebody.
You know what, Tarsha? I can't even. Yeah, I was gonna say I can't even say it's a racial being taught how to handle black people, because I've seen white folks acting a fool and how calm the officers are. You see when the boy shot up all the people in the church. They let the boy stop and get him something to eat on the way. That boy didn't get killed. And this boy killed 8 people in church.
Yeah.
Did you see these protesters? You see police officers in one side of the town, they're handing out masks to the people at the park, the white folks at the park. And on the other side of the town, you see them throwing black people on the ground, and all they're in their street. They're standing out on the street, not bothering anybody. It's not even about how to deal with black people. It's just these I don't curse, but I want to say these motherfuckers is just racist.
Mother father.
There you go, father mucker. That's my word. These motherfuckers is racist. The word for today, everybody, father mucker.
Father mucker.
Yes.
God, I am just so over it. Every time I watch the television, it just sickens my stomach.
I'm over it too, Tracy. I really am. And I don't know, I don't know what the answers are. I don't know. I don't know what the answers are, but this has to stop. It has to stop. Brian just left just now, or whatever. His barber is open, and so he's been dying for a haircut, and he's only doing one at a time. So he needs to get his haircut. And I know, he might be back by now. I don't even know, but it's like every single time he leaves the house, it's like, what is he going to encounter when he pulls out of his driveway? I don't know. Even when he was away at school, and that's really a hick town. And so I was like, is he going to be safe here? It's crazy. It's really crazy, and I don't know. I'm baffled because I don't know what the answer is, but I know this has to stop. This really has to stop.
I'm reading I'm looking at online, and there's a Virginia C. Tracy. She says the problem with the police is that they are scared of us.
Yes.
And that is a bad mix. You cannot protect someone that you're scared of. So,
I like
the fact that you're gonna protect me when you're scared of me.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel really it messes me up because I have a brother, I have brothers, I have nephews, I have sons, and godsons, and sad. It's sad because I want my baby to go out in the street and not feel.
Your husband, he said, we don't have the complexion for the protection.
Yeah.
That part. That's what I said. My skin is my sin. God.
Yeah. And I think it's really sad that there are a lot of people out here that will have racism based on their skin and can be like ridiculously educated. I graduated with honors, master's degree, doctors, you know, prominent Black people
Mm-hmm.
that are dark skinned that would get discriminated against, as opposed to a lighter skinned person who is not as educated, only because, you know, we just happen to have somebody white closer, or the white took over more in our bloodline. So, you know, and you know, I ain't gonna lie, with me and my ex-husband, we used to play and so, you know, I would pretend like, I would always tell him, you know, I'll be the house nigga. You gonna be outside lifting the tree. You know, it was almost like we laughed at it just to keep from crying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's not funny, but it's real.
Mm-hmm.
It's real.
Absolutely.
It was crazy. Growing up, I was raised by my grandmother. My grandmother was born in 1910. So she was older. And she took care of me and my siblings because my mom had passed away when I was really young.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandmother would take me to work with her. And she worked for a couple of prominent people. My grandmother actually was a maid for Burke Beckford.
Okay.
Maid for some big families that were in the area in Hollywood or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember her taking me and me playing with the little white girl. I don't even remember her name or whatever, but I was playing with her and she hit me and I hit her back. And my grandmama slapped the taste out of my mouth and I couldn't understand. I was mad. I was like, well, she hit me. She was like, girl, they paying me. You know, like it was the mindset. I think it's the mindset. A lot of them have the mindsets that, first of all, you beneath me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I employ you. So you don't tell you like that's the same with you being in that position and the lady firing you, whatever. She employed me. She employed my mother. My grandmother felt necessary she was trying to teach me a lesson. You stay in your place when it comes down to these people. And that's because she didn't know. And she only knew because she had come from a slave background where her family was slaves and everybody was slave just because. And she didn't get a chance to see things turn around. We didn't have to be like that.
Right.
We didn't have to be underneath, because there's some of us that are professionals. There are some of us that have made it and gotten to where we need to be, to where we've made some names for ourselves, and we no longer have to be the tail.
Right.
We can be some heads too.
Right.
And also, you know what, Tracy? That's all learned behavior. Because when you put kids, little girl hitting you and you hitting her back, it shouldn't have been nothing from that. You put kids in a room now and all the kids play with each other just fine. When you see kids play, it's some kids that met each other for the first time. And them kids play like I ain't seen you in a while. I missed you. Let's make up for lost time. That's how these kids play. They love each other.
It's taught. You're right. It's taught. Because when you have a kid, your kid is like a blank cassette. Whatever you record onto that cassette is what's going to be there.
Yes.
Whatever you put into that mind, you know, if you want an honest answer, you talk to a kid, a child will give you the most honest answer. If you get up, you put on something and it's ugly, the kid is going to say, you know what? I don't like that. That's ugly.
Right.
Sure will.
Whereas your friend be like, oh, girl, that's all right. Go on, leave that on. It's all right. Put this with that. No, they go, well, it's ugly. We're not going to tell them.
It's a learned behavior. When I moved from, I think I've said this before too. When I grew up in West Covina, when I moved to LA, I used to get made fun of. My parents put me in Crenshaw High School, so it was crazy being around all those Black people. But they talked proper, and I didn't understand what that meant. They say, "Why do you talk proper?" And I'm like, "I don't understand what you mean proper. You mean I talk in proper English?" Or they say, "Oh, you talk white. What does talking white mean?" Never understood that. Once again, it's learned behavior. It's like if you correct English or pronounce things correctly, or what have you, they tell you that you're talking proper or you're talking white. And I used to hate that. I used to hate that. I used to feel for I felt for the black kids because where they grew up or whatever.
Yeah, I hate that term.
Yeah.
I hate
Proper.
Or talk.
You know, you talk white. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Because I use good English, I'm talking white. What does that mean?
I've gotten a number of my jobs based on the way that I sound. And when I get there, I look a whole totally different.
Yeah,
And I was told that on an interview once.
been told that too.
They told me that they thought I was white on the phone. I said, well, good. Do I have the job? I'm nowhere near white. Didn't even grow up. I grew up in South Central. Straight in South Central. And I'll turn Becky on in a minute.
Yes.
How are you? Will I get the job? Oh, thank you. Oh, Becky's gonna come out and she gonna get paid. She's coming.
Right.
She's coming.
Hi, Becky. It's me, Heather.
Oh, hi. How are you?
I'm so good right now.
It's our time to wind it down, but of course we're not going to get the answer in one show, and you know it's because people have been trying to figure out the answer to this of why do you hate us? You know, that's the question I just want to ask a racist. Why do you hate me? You know, and until we can get to the bottom of what that answer is, I guess, you know, I don't know what we need to do. So I know we'll probably maybe pick this up next week. And then maybe we can go back to what our intended show was supposed to be, which was about the mental people that are having issues. I want to give some resources next week because I know some people are by themselves in lockdown and it's kind of bothering them and really going through it. So I definitely want Fiji sent me some wonderful resources to kind of help people through the whole mental health thing that's going on. Because, you know, one thing is for sure, if the COVID don't get you, you know, for some people being in the house this long might get them in terms of their mental state. So I want to talk about that and give some resources to kind of help some people and just tell everybody, just hang in there. And, you know, I want to talk about masks too next week. And so I want people to understand that you're not wearing the mask for you. You know, I've seen so many posts this week that it's ridiculous because they've already said they don't work and blah, 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 blah. There's a 50% chance that it can help you if the other person doesn't have a mask on. But if I have it on and the other person has it on, then there's a 70 to 80% chance that you'll be fine. And that's what we want. We want to increase the chances of not getting the virus. So I don't want to delve all off into that, but just remember this. Let's act to wear a mask because you're not just doing it for you, you're doing it for all the other people out there. You're doing it for somebody that you might cross paths with. You may not even know you're sick, but you might be in Ralph's. And you might be picking up an orange, and there might be somebody else picking up an orange that has diabetes or high blood pressure or, you know, some other underlying condition. Or they might have a cancer patient at home and they can't afford to catch it to take it back home to their cancer patient. So if you can't have that way of thinking, then you might need to check yourself because you're a little selfish. So they'll all off into that because I'll go a whole lot on just that. But pray for George's family, and that there can be some retribution and some justice and some peace come out of all of this and some type of positive change. I'm so sorry that this happened. I'm sorry for his family and those that have had to endure his loss, but I hope some type of positive change can come out of this. So with that, I thank my beautiful sisters that joined me in the tea party tonight with their water and the tea and the wine. Again, these are our board members, Cancer Incorporated, and this show was birthed from that nonprofit to be able to share awareness and talk about a plethora of things. So I thank you, ladies. I love you so much, and thank you for once again joining me in the tea party. And we will be back next week.
Okay.
All that good stuff. I'm trying to find my closing music and I have found it. So until next week, I love you guys. Keep rising.
You're listening to Still I Rise Tea Party with Tarsha T. Rogers, only on LA Talk Radio.